Hey guys, I'm going to be doing something different this time. And this time, the different thing is, I'm going to be recapping the first story of Freddys Fazbear Frights #1, Into the Pit. I just read through the whole story this day, from this morning up till like 1:30. And oh boy, it's an interesting one. So let's get on to it. It's about a guy called... let me remember his name. Oswald. Yeah, Oswald. It's about him and... well, his family can barely make it through. His family's not necessarily poor. They're not necessarily rich either. It's kind of like enough to get them like paying the bills and stuff. He doesn't have any big consoles or stuff like that, and nope. Anyway, let's get on with it. Summer's about to begin, and he wishes his friend Ben was there, but he's not. He's at a beach or something. And during this time, his father decides he doesn't want his son spending his time alone in the house the whole summer. So, here's what he does. He each time he has to go to work, he drops him off at the library and gives him $3.50 to get some pizza at a place called Jeff's Pizza. And as he does this, he reads books and in Jeff's Pizza place, he notices a ball pit that says "Do not enter." Well, more important things will happen to this ball pit later in the story. So let's get onto it. And afterwards, after a little bit of him getting tired, he told his dad that he's tired of having to go through this boring life. And the night before, he got a text from his friend saying that he has having an amazing time at this beach and playing mini golf and all this stuff. And his dad says, "Look, we can't afford those things. We just have to be happy for what we got." Then, afterwards, he decides, when he goes to Jeff's Pizza, he just decides to pull a prank on his dad, to go into the ball pit, and when his dad gets there, he'll jump out and scare him. But he stays in that pit for a while and notices that his dad is not there. Then he decides to go up, and he's in a completely different place this time. He looks around and sees arcade games and stuff like that. And what else does he see? Oh, he says he sees a brown bear, a blue bunny, and a bird girl. I bet you know who those characters are, if you're a FNAF fan. Anyway, let's get on to it. Okay, he meets these two people called Mike and Chip, and they play games. And he shrugs and says, "Oh, these are some good old games." And Mike says, "Old games? Boy, Freddy has the newest games in town." And he does say that some of the games are like Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, Frogger, you know, stuff like that. And he says it in the story. Anyway, they talk, and after they play some games, he goes back into the pit right before the Freddy's closes, and he decides to count to 100 to make it change back, and guess what? It works. And he's in a good mood, and this tells his mom he's in a good mood, but he doesn't have the courage to tell his mom that stuff happening, because he believes if he told his mom that he would be in her child's just hospital or something. Anyway, yeah, and basically he keeps on going into the ball pit to go to, and the second time he does this, he goes to the office and he says he's a calendar, and on the calendar it says 1985. So he plays some games with Mike and Chip again, and they get a pizza. And here's the thing with the pizza. No, not with the pizza. They talk about movies, and he asked, "What's your favorite movie?" And he didn't want to say any movies that didn't exist in the time period, and he said, E.T. And Mike slammed the table and laughed and said, E.T. is 3 years old. And then onward after that, and he kept on going. The pit times, and eventually, one time when he went in the pit, people, when he got out, up to hoping to be in the cheerful place of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Oh, right. I forgot to mention he read a sign that said it was Freddy Fazbear's Pizza the first time he managed to teleport to the place, and basically instead of people cheering, they're screaming and crying. Children heading to their mothers and fathers, everything. It's like, what's going on? He called out Chip and Mike's names, and he couldn't find them. And then he saw, oh, by the way, in each part, when he gets to Freddys, he sees a guy in a rabbit suit, a yellow rabbit suit. Not saying it's gonna be, and I can explain to you right now, it doesn't say anything in the story about it being William Afton. So, and this rabbit guy has an important part later on in the story, so let's get on with it. Basically, he follows the rabbit guy down to a party room, and he sees some corpses with party hats on, eyes closing and blinking, like they're robots or something. And the rabbit man chases him, and he gets in the pit. And when he gets out, his father is there saying, "Who?" And the pizza guy that runs the place, Jeff, the same name as his own restaurant, and he's like, there he is, and then the father gets dragged in the pit by the guy in the rabbit suit, and then the guy in the rabbit suit gets out and brings Oswald to the car, taking him home. Then he's scared, runs into his room. He's scared because he's dragged. He can't get outside. So he says, "I'm going to my room," and then he texts his mom. And a few minutes later, his mom calls and is like, "What's going on?" And he explains that he said he didn't want to sound crazy, so he said, "Dad's not acting okay," and she's like, "Okay, I'm heading home right now." 15 minutes later, she heads home, and he says again that Dad's not acting okay, and she said, and I'm not sure if he's even here, and she says, "Dad's in the kitchen, and leave a pot pie, chicken pot pie in the kitchen for you." And I go, "Oh, I'm not hungry." And he's like, and she's concerned, and then, oh, by the way, there's a cat in the story called Jinx, and it's a black cat, and basically at the one part when he is in the house, and he gets put in the house, when he gets in the house, and the bunny man's blocking the doorway, basically the cat goes into his room, under the bed, stays in the bed for most of the time, and and days passed, and then he tries to think of a plan. He meets this girl called Gabriel, and talking about Greek mythology and the heroes and stuff like that, and then they're like, okay, so he thinks about a plan. He has to act normal, like the rabbit thing, because the people think that the rabbit thing is his father, and because in the morning he wakes up in the kitchen to get some breakfast from his mother, and he asks, "Oh, where's Dad?" And she says, "Dad's right by you," and the only thing that's right by him is the rabbit guy. So people basically think that the rabbit guy is his father. So he thinks of a plan, and because of what Gabriel told him at school, and act normal until one night he goes out, going to Jeff's Pizza, going to the pit. Instead of going to Freddys Pizza, he looks for his dad. And he feels a boot and looks around looking for stuff and yada yada yada. And then, oh, by the way, when Oswald wanted the pizza place to go in that pit right before to find his father, he ordered a soda, make sure he didn't look suspicious. So, and then after he looks around, finds his father, and the bunny man appears and it opens his jaw, and apparently there's shark teeth inside that bunny man. And he make sure it was heading towards his face, and he blocked it with his arm, and sharp things went through its skin and it was bleeding, and yada yada yada. And oh boy, I'm just like, okay, and then. And it was about to attack its father, and it says, "Get away from my father!" and jumps behind it. This big battle goes on between this kid named Oswald and this rabbit guy, or sharp teeth, until the rabbit guy gets hung by some ropes in the ball pit, and opening and closing its mouth like it's gasping for air, and then all of a sudden, it just transformed into an empty, yellow rabbit suit when it was hanged. Yeah. Very strange, isn't it? Anyway. And after that, he finds his father. His father wakes up. I forgot to tell you that his father was unconscious, but and he woke up and asks what happened, and he explains that he was trying to do a prank on him, and it went too far, and he banged his head and got in the ball pit, and basically he said that, and he noticed the mark on his arm, and he said, "You're bleeding?" And he says, "Oh, I must have hit a metal, scraped my arm against a metal bar." He literally thinks about his mother. And he says, "Okay, we're going to get you fixed up when we get home. Your mother will help." And he thinks about his mother noticing the bite marks. And then they talk about, like, their different tastes in music and stuff like that. And then the guy, when they're about to leave, the guy, Jeff, is at the counter saying, "Hey kid, you forgot your soda." And that's the end of the story. And that's the recap of this entire story. Oh yeah, I would have said this at the beginning of the video, but you should have been aware of spoilers this entire time. Like, seriously, I just exposed the entire, like, first story of this book. Like, seriously. Like, anyways, that's gonna be it, guys. See you later.